welcome back to my channel. This is Nova Gnome Creations and I'm Nova. I'm so glad that you decided to join me today. And for my newcomers, welcome to my channel. I noticed I got a few new subscribers. I'm so excited that you decided to join me. And for those of you that have been around for a little while, thank you so much for coming back and keeping watching my videos and hanging out with me. So today we have a little theme to our day, and that is don't be afraid to fail. So a few days ago, I came on here and I was telling you guys about my problem where I started a cardigan at like the beginning of the year, and it's my very first wearable. And the way that you work up this cardigan, you do it in halves, and I worked up like half of it. Well, you do it in halves and then you can also add length and add to the sleeves and whatever, but you start out with doing it in halves. And I did like half of it, and then I didn't come back to it for months and months. And then one night when we were about to leave, I decided that it was going to be my project for the evening, and so I picked up what I had just barely started of the other half, and I worked on it the whole night and like did the whole other half, not realizing that I had not been using the same hook size. And it was a pretty significant difference in tension between these two halves. And I was like, I really don't want to scrap it. I'm very much a big proponent of like finagling it and making it work. And if it's a little wonky, that's okay. It's handmade. Like, I don't like to, you know, just trash projects and have to start over. So I worked on putting in the back panel and connecting it all together. Yeah, it didn't work out. The size difference from the two sides was like significant. When it was on, it was like, obviously you can't see the lower part of my torso, but let's just say this was like the bottom, where the bottom of the jacket or the cardigan should have ended. It was like this. So the side with the tight stitches was like up here, and the side with the looser stitches was like down here. It draped completely different. It just didn't look right. And like you could really see the difference between the two stitches, more so than when I had them sitting in front of me and I was like lining them up and like working them together. When it was on, it was like a lot more pronounced because of the draping. And this is still my first wearable other than like dabbling in hats and scarves a little bit. And, even those, I don't think I've really crocheted. I like, when I first started getting into playing with yarn, I was loom knitting. So yeah, like this was still my first foray into, wearables, and it definitely showed. And it came down to that problem of picking up the wrong hook size. But now, oh look, my husband. Hi. That's Caleb. Oh yeah, and he helped me a little bit. So, okay, I'll get to that. Anyways, so now I have my little book that I've talked about a little bit, and I keep my notes in there of what pattern I'm using, what hook size I'm using, what yarn I'm using, all of that stuff, because I might not need it, but if I do, it could be pretty critical that I know what it was, especially the further down you get, because the reason that I never had this happen before was earlier in my crochet journey, which I only started crocheting last year. I didn't wait very long in between working on projects. Even if I had more than one project going, the most I would go in between working on like a specific project was maybe a week, you know, alternating between the things that I was working on. So this was like the first time I had a significant amount of time pass in between working on something to where I didn't have the hook with it anymore. And that's the other thing, is that I like to keep my hooks with my product, or why do I keep wanting to say product? My project. If at all possible, I leave my hooks with my projects. I like being able to just grab them and work on them and not have to try to remember what size hook I was using and find a hook of that size. Because I don't have a whole ton of hooks to begin with, so when a lot of time goes by, I end up having to have my hook. So I've got my notebook, so I've got the solution to this problem already underway so that it doesn't happen again. So what I ended up doing was I put it on, I looked in the mirror. Obviously it wasn't done. I didn't complete the project, but I was looking at it and there was just, I had to be real with myself for a moment that I was not going to wear it. It wasn't just looking wonky, it was weird, and it didn't feel right either. It didn't feel comfortable because it was so off. Believe it or not, the thing that I had been worried about, making the two pieces come together seamlessly, because the stitch counts weren't the same, because I did it by measurement of inches. And then, you know, the tighter stitching with the smaller hook meant that there were more stitches on one half. That part actually didn't even end up being an issue. I used a smaller hook while I was working up the back panel, and I actually was able to bring it all together, and you couldn't even tell in the back. It was the front with the draping, which is I didn't even expect. So I had a real moment with myself that I was not going to wear it, and it was too pretty to just finish it because I didn't want to scrap it and then never wear it. You know, like I said, the yarn is just too pretty for that. So what I ended up deciding to do was I took the back panel off, undid the arm seam that I had done, and I did that on one half. The other half, I folded it up, I put it away, and eventually I will come back to it and I will remake the second half of the cardigan, like I should have done to begin with. But, you know, don't be afraid to make mistakes. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to have to scrap the whole other half and make another half, so I tried not to, and it didn't work out, and that happens. So I have that set aside. I'm pretty sure it was a 5mm hook that I was using, because that's what I used to work the back panel, and it looked like it was probably the size I had been using, with the tension that it ended up coming out as. And then the other half, like I said, I took the back panel off, I unseamed or undid the seam, and it looks like this. And it can't be like a blanket because, well, I mean, it could, but it's not going to lay flat because it's a hexagon granny. So it's not a square. You know, if you hold it like straight across on one side, it does this because it's not a square. But hexagon grannies are perfect for loveys. So what I'm thinking is, this is the center. I'm thinking about making a lovey out of it. I think that would be a good idea. I could make a head, maybe some arms. You know, it'll be a little bit on the bigger side for a lovey, but imagine this for a little girl. It's so pretty. And this is a cotton yarn, which, by the way, in case anybody wonders, this is a cotton wheel, what is it? Sugar Wheel Cotton Sparkle. By Yarn Bee, you know, the Hobby Lobby brand. And the color is Pretty's Please. So if anyone is interested in that, that's what that is. But yeah, this is what it looks like. And I think that this will be really pretty for like a little girl's lovey. And I'm thinking that I need to try to find like a unicorn head that I want to put on here. Because don't you think a unicorn, maybe a unicorn or a mermaid, you know, something really colorful, I think will be so nice with the sparkles and the colors and the pastels. And then the part that I was talking about my husband helped me with was the back panel that I detached. He went ahead and ripped that all apart for me. Okay, also funny side note, I was like, hey, I have a fun project for you. Do you want to frog this for me? And he's like, frog it? Is it because your project croaked? I was laughing so hard. I was explaining to him that it's because you call it frogging it because you're ripping it out. You're rip it. And he's like, no, it's because it croaked. And I was like, honestly, I'm going to use that. Because when do you frog a project? When it croaks. So I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, he went ahead and took that apart for me. And then look at this ingenious idea. There was an empty Pringles can, and he used it to wrap the yarn around. So, and then you can even put the starting tail and ending tail under the lid so that you don't have to worry about it coming off. Let's get it to focus for a second, because also look how pretty these colors are. This part was just the pinks and yellows. I am just like in love with that. That is so pretty. So now I've kind of got my own little spool of yarn to do whatever with. So yeah, that's the theme of today, guys. Don't be afraid to fail. It happens. Where if we don't give ourselves the opportunity to fail, we can't try new things. And going into doing wearables is completely outside of the wheelhouse of anything I've done before. And like I said, I know what my mistake was. It was a silly mistake and not something I'm going to do again. I'm actually already, before I even made this mistake, had already started working so that this type of mistake wouldn't happen. Just a little too late. So it happens. And you know, there's a good chance when I make my next wearable that I'll have some mistakes because it'll still be something new for me. And that's okay. Every time I make something new, every time I make something, I pretty much learn. And that was like with the mandala blanket, you know, I've been learning so much doing that. So yeah, you know, go outside your comfort zone, try things, don't be afraid to fail. And if you do fail, like, laugh about it, maybe put it away for a while, don't look at it, give it the cold shoulder, and, you know, try again later. So don't be too upset about it. Don't be too hard on yourself. Like, you tried, it happens. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this video. Dang it. I feel like a second ago I had something else I wanted to say and I cannot remember what it was. Oh, right. If anybody has any recommendations for heads for this lovey, it doesn't necessarily have to be a lovey pattern. It could be any amigurumi pattern where I could just use the head. So if you have anything that you think would look really cute, any recommendations that you think would look really cute with this like sparkly pastels, kind of this vibe. Like I said, I'm thinking like unicorn or mermaid or something like that. So yeah, if you have any recommendations for what you think would look cool with that, or specific pattern recommendations, drop them below in the comments and let me know what you guys think. Other than that, I hope everybody's having a great Saturday, and I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. It's raining right now. It's 81 degrees and raining, according to my Alexa over here. Which is, believe it or not, much cooler than it has been. Like almost 20 degrees cooler than it has been, because it's been like high 90s. I'm actually, like, I went outside a little bit ago, and why in the world does 80s feel cooler? Like, it actually felt like reasonable to me. And I'm not a person that likes heat or likes like outside when it's hot at all. But I was like, I'm kind of crazy, aren't I? Because it was like 83 when we were out earlier, and I was like, this doesn't feel bad. So I guess, you know, anything that's not like 98 feels nice right now. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a great weekend, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!